Hi Team We Run, it's Coach Alexa here, coach for Reading, South Oxfordshire and online. I wanted to talk a little bit more about our feet. Recently, I've been doing a bit of a series on it, and I thought it would be useful to just talk about how amazing our feet are, right? So we and other apes and to some sort of degree monkeys, although monkeys' feet tend to be a lot more different than our feet and apes' feet. We are the only animals where we have this kind of longer foot, basically, and it's because we're bipedal, which means two-legged. So if I compare my leg anatomy to the rear leg anatomy of my dog, if you've got have a relationship with some sort of four-legged creature, you'll realise that their knees are actually quite far up. They almost look like they're sort of part of their body as opposed to halfway down their leg. And they've got their heel joint, which is almost a third to a half of the way up their leg. So actually what they're doing is standing on their tiptoes, both on their back and their front feet. But you can see the heel and the Achilles sort of area is almost halfway back up their leg. Now we've got in a sense, much sort of a shorter part of the lower leg aspect of a four-legged creature like a horse or a dog or a cat, but all of it is in contact with the floor. So that means that actually the arrangement of our ankle and our feet, particularly how the tendons and connective tissue work in our feet, can be quite different. So I'll explain a little bit about how that works in terms of what that means in terms of running to start with. And then maybe in the next video, I'll show some little pictures and bits and pieces and explain a little bit about foot anatomy because it is pretty fascinating, or at least I think it's pretty fascinating. So we have an arch in our foot. So that's something that, you know, other four-legged creatures don't have. And that's to help our propulsion, basically. So we've got lots of tendons and ligaments that hold that arch together. We've what's called the plantar fascia. You might have heard of it because you can get plantar fasciitis, which is an irritation of that fascia, like a big band of connective tissue that goes under the arch of the foot. So when we walk, and to a higher extent when we run, that arch in our foot actually flattens a little bit and then pings back. So that actually acts like part of our propulsion system. So as the body weight comes down through the foot and into the ground, it flattens, and then we get a little bit of a ping from that sort of elastic energy system as it propels us forwards. So as I mentioned in a previous video, this is why we need to get shoes that are a little bit bigger to allow for that extension of our foot as the arch flattens and rebounds. And then we also have a huge number, if you think of my arm as the foot, I didn't want to wiggle my feet in front of a camera, that sounded like a weird thing to do, so I'm just going to use my arm and hand instead. So we have like a right angle at our ankle, and we also have our Achilles tendon going up the back, and that again compresses and stretches. So if I do an upside down foot, stretches out when we're landing, and that Achilles tendon, which when our foot leaves the ground, so we take the pressure off that, I'm not even moving that hand, I let go of it and it pings upright, and that's exactly what our foot do. So I put tension into the muscles of the calf complex and the Achilles tendon, massive elastic band, and when that foot leaves the floor behind us, particularly when we're running, bing, we get a nice ping back of elastic energy. And this is why if you've ever tried to run in deep mud, snow, sand, where instead of that elastic energy pinging back into the ground and giving us a push forward, it just sort of squishes into the soft surface below. That's why running is so much harder on soft surfaces, because that elastic energy just gets lost into the soft ground below us. So really, really, really clever design, our feet, and very cleverly designed for the fact that we're two-legged. So we get a lot more of that propulsion from the calf, the ankle, and the arch of the foot and the tendons in it. And I'll talk more about those in more detail in the next video. If you watch my dog running, you'll see that a lot of that actually comes from her heels, which are higher up, her knees and her hips, and her legs kind of fly out behind her much more in a straight line because her body's like that. So her legs can kick out from here to here quite easily. So that's where she gets the propulsion push from her back legs. We get it much more focused in our lower legs. And that's why running can generally be a little bit harder on our lower legs than other sports, particularly cycling, swimming, but even walking is much lower load on our foot, ankles and calves, because not only are they dealing with that propulsion, that elastic propulsion system, but they're in the front line at dealing with the impact loading of running as well. Hope that's useful. Happy running.